Yeah, so way back in 2000, man, I can't believe it's been 25 years since X Men came out in theaters. This movie pretty much is responsible for the superhero renaissance of the 2000s. I mean, I really wish it was Blade, but it was X Men. Why? Because Blade was rated R and X Men was PG 13, which means more susceptible audiences could go see X Men. And it was going off the hype of the 90s show, and X Men Evolution had just started around that time. So X Men was the hottest commodity at that point. Like X Men, you could go no wrong with X Men. And I got to say that this movie has a special place in my heart. It was the first superhero movie I saw, and I really, really love this movie. Even if it's a little dated, I know 2000, filmed in the 90s, so some of the effects are aged, but X Men 1 still looks really good, in my opinion. And it is the start of some of the best superhero runs for live action of all time. We had Hugh Jackman, who was already great from start, Ian McKellen, already perfect, Patrick Stewart, already perfect, and the unfortunate missed opportunity of James Marsden as Cyclops. Famke Jensen was okay. Wouldn't have been like my first choice, but she's fine. Halle Berry, I can't believe they picked her over Angela Bassett because Angela Bassett was supposed to be Storm, but we got Halle Berry. And then just an overall solid story. Now, X Men is pretty awesome because it's like, they wanted people to take it a little bit more seriously. So they gave they changed from the comic accurate costumes to those black leather suits, which people complained about. But at the time, I kind of understand why they did it. If you wanted people to take the movies more seriously, the X Men uniforms from the comics are a little super comic booky, and I could understand if at the time, I guess they didn't think they could make those suits look good. So they went with those black suits. I mean, it worked in my opinion. I have a soft spot for the black suits, but I'm an X Men fan, so the comic suits are always going to be glorious to me. I hope that's what the MCU goes with when they finally get around to doing the X Men. But yeah. So let's just start by saying that X Men has some of the solid points. It has a solid story, good casting, good direction, good special effects, good cinematography, and a villain story that is one of the best villain stories in comics and live action. But the plan is a little bit on the generic villain comic book plan. So we could at least agree to that one. And it's good because it gives, some insight. So obviously the main star of the film is Wolverine. He is the one we see. He's in a bar fight. He's the one we see, get ambushed. They save him with Rogue after being in that bar fight. And we see that Cyclops and Storm are the ones who go to get him. He just is unconscious when they do, so Rogue remembers them. And it's cool when he wakes up at the mansion. That really famous scene of him running down the sub basement and him just ending up in the classroom with Charles. Peak, because it's great. And then we get to see the explanation of, the X Men origins of the film. Obviously, they changed some stuff like Cyclops, Storm, and Jean are some of his first students. We know Storm isn't one of them because Storm came during the Claremont era, but Cyclops and Jean are original X Men. We do see Hank McCoy on the television at the end of the movie, so we do see Beast for a split second. No mention, and obviously Iceman's a teenager, so he's not one of the original X Men. And we just don't see Angel until X Men 3. So, do what you want with that information. And something that I did think was interesting was how they incorporated Rogue into the story. Because this version of Rogue is not the badass 90s Rogue that can fly and have super strength and, has the Miss Marvel powers. This is not that Rogue. This is very much powered down Rogue, who's more on the evolution side, where she just has the touch powers and none of the other cool things. They wanted to go a different direction, but I've always had the best and softest spot for Miss Marvel Rogue, and I think she's back to that now in the comics. But anyway, so Magneto's plan is to turn all humans, I guess, in the New York radius into mutants with this like DNA conversion machine from the Statue of Liberty. And it is a very, very generic comic book villain plan, but the plan makes sense because there's this bill that gets passed that Magneto is not happy about. And, the famous scene where they're standing off with the police and, he kidnaps Rogue and it's, let them pass that law, they'll have you with a chain with a number burned into your forehead, which is still one of the best lines in a superhero movie to date. Ian McKellen is just flawless. He is fantastic every single time he's Magneto. And also, you guys know that the movies actually came up with the helmet blocking out his mind thing. The movies invented that idea, and I think it is so cool and it makes so much sense going forward. We just see so many interesting aspects of the X-Men world. We see Mystique, little weird and zany from Mystique, but I kind of like the approach to it because I don't really like Mystique. So, that's here and there. We see Toad, who's honestly way cooler than Toad ever actually is. And that's just where we're going to leave with that. I mean, Ray Park is awesome, right? And then Sabretooth, who I have a mixed bag about. I just think Sabretooth was there for the Wolverine beef because, every time Sabretooth and Wolverine see each other, it's on site. But for the most part, X-Men 1 has, its obvious flaws like, hey, here's Storm getting her ass kicked by Toad. Also, Cyclops and Jean are also getting their butts kicked by Toad. Here's the scene where Storm gets kicked down an elevator shaft, but then she starts taking things seriously. And one of the worst lines in superhero movies, written by Joss Whedon, by the way, is the Toad struck by lightning thing, which is, uh, it is a stupid line. It is a very stupid line. But, all these things take place. They get to the Statue of Liberty. This scene is cool because they get to the Statue of Liberty. Magneto traps them all with metal. He starts to convince the plan. The whole Sabretooth thing happens because Magneto will be drained after he transfers his powers to Rogue, and she's gonna die to save millions. So it's one of those one dies, million of mutants will survive. Magneto is completely willing to kill one mutant to save millions. He is not appalled to doing that. We see this whole thing take place. And the Statue of Liberty in X-Men is probably one of the most famous scenes in superhero movies because it was so cool at the time. And I still think it's really cool. And you just get to see them use like teamwork and like craftiness. And it's like those type of things are missing in superhero movies nowadays. Like, it's something I was thinking about the Fantastic Four movie where like they had a lot of teamwork scenes. I was like, man, you don't get a lot of teamwork in superhero movies like that anymore. And I really missed that. So, do what you guys want with that information. I just really like X-Men 1. It is one of those movies I look back on. It's like, yeah, it was a 2000s movie. And as a 2000s kid, this is, it just brings joy to my heart. I just really enjoyed seeing Hugh Jackman for the first time, Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart for the first time, everyone for the first time. Now, I will say it annoyed me that Wolverine is so much of the focus, but also Rogue's there and she's just as much of a focus, whereas Cyclops isn't. And I kind of wish for our first X-Men movie, Cyclops would have more to do. And that's kind of an issue that I have with the Foxverse in general, is that Cyclops is one of the most done dirty characters in the films. And I love James Marsden. Honestly, he was a great choice. I just think they did him dirty as far as using Cyclops, because Cyclops is that bull. But I am not afraid to say that. Cyclops is awesome. Another person that gets did kind of dirty but has some shining moments is Storm. Character wise, she's fine. She doesn't feel like the great leader that could take on Cyclops like she is in the comics, but I enjoy her enough, even though would have loved to see Angela Bassett, man. And Jean has the whole Wolverine Jean thing that I really just grew to dislike over the years because in the Claremont run, that's kind of where it started. but it literally goes nowhere past that, you know. And the '90s show was the one that brought that back, and then the movies took it and ran with it. And it is so frustrating to see the Wolverine gene thing because fans kind of disliked Cyclops over this because they thought Cyclops kind of got in Wolverine's way, and I'm like, but it's doesn't make sense for him and Jean to be together. And the X-Men '97 kind of plays on it, but they also kind of put the nail in the coffin with the you're Jean Grey, he's Scott Summers, those are the rules. And it's like, thank God, because the Wolverine gene thing has been out of control since the '90s show, just about. And the movies really take it and run with it and make Cyclops just the jealous boyfriend type instead of the badass leader who can also get whoever he wants in the room. But for the most part, the four that they chose for the X-Men movie make the most sense. The villain Magneto, perfect. Sabretooth for Wolverine, yes. Toad, also a famous Brotherhood member. Mystique, another famous Brotherhood member. So it's like all of them being together is cool. You guys do also know Mystique and Magneto don't really be together that much in the comics. The movies also kind of did more with that, which is a cool change. Like, no complaints here. Magneto actually killing Senator Kelly is wild because that never happens. Like, Senator Kelly never dies. The fact that he is just dead in in the middle of the movie is wild because you think like, oh yeah, he got Senator Kelly, they're gonna be fine, but no, he just straight up dies. Excuse me. So yeah, I've like I said, X-Men One has such a strong place in my heart. Yeah, there's nostalgia there, but there's also just the fact that it is still pretty solid. And if you haven't seen X-Men One, I definitely recommend seeing X-Men One. And I would definitely recommend seeing X-Men 2 after X-Men 1 because X-Men 2 is one of the best superhero sequels ever, which I will do at some point because I'm excited to talk about X-Men 2. There's so much to say about X-Men 2 that I think you just can't not talk about it. So all in all, X-Men 1 is a solid like 8 for me. I love X-Men 1. And you know, if you guys made it this far, smash that like button, comment, and subscribe for more, and I will see you on the next one.